All right, thank you. So everyone, welcome. This is our second session of our Illinois Works Pre-Apprenticeship NOFO. We are glad to have all of you here. If you have not done so, please share your name and your organization in the chat. We would love to know who all is on the call and to formally welcome you. We are excited to welcome Amber Broughton. She is with the Office of Accountability, and she is the Technical Support Manager. She will be facilitating the GATA pre-qualification and other requirements session for today. So please join me in welcoming Amber.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Gia. Like Gia said, my name is Amber Broughton, and I am with the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity in the Accountability Office. So in this presentation, I'm going to be talking about GATA, the GATA Grantee Portal, pre-qualification, and other requirements as it relates to this NOFO. Okay, so we're going to go over the DCEO grant process. We'll go over how to register in the GATA Grantee portal and a couple of tips for that. So if you are brand new to state funding, you'll need to register in this GATA portal. If you are already registered, your entity is already registered, this will be a good refresher to kind of make sure everything is updated. We'll talk about pre-qualification that's in the portal. We'll talk about just the notice of funding opportunity, very basic because I know you all have been talking about this NOFO. And we'll go over a little bit of what to expect after a grant award. All right, so let's look at this life cycle of the grant. So what I'm going to be talking about today mostly is the pre-award requirements. So when a notice of funding opportunity comes out, you want to make sure you have kind of all of your ducks in a row before you submit your application, and then, hopefully you are awarded the money, and that would put you in the active grant category. So pre-award requirements, these are the pre-qualification items that I will be talking about a little later, but just making sure that you have a current SAM.gov account, making sure you're not on the federal excluded parties list, you're not
Hi, Amber. It looks like we've lost your sound for the past maybe 10 seconds. Amber, it looks like we've lost your sound for about the last maybe 15 seconds.
I just unplugged it and plugged it. Okay, we're good? Okay. All right. So after it goes through that review committee, you will receive notice of whether or not you were awarded this grant, and you will be assigned a grant manager who will work with you and work with program staff to develop the grant agreement. So once the grant agreement is signed, that means it's executed. That means you are officially a grantee. When we're in the active grant at the end, or I'm sorry, at the last part of this page, you will be working with your grant manager to submit reports. So you'll be sending them reports on the deliverables. Are you meeting the objectives that were in the grant agreement? You will be submitting a financial report, letting the program know what you spent money on, and then you will be reimbursed. So that's how almost all of our grants are paid through a reimbursement process. Depending on the grant, there might be, you might be able to get a working capital advance. I'm not sure with this grant, but sometimes we're able to give a grantee a small amount of money or for a short amount of time to kind of get the ball rolling with the reimbursement process. But this will all be laid out for you by your grant manager later on. Let's see. Okay, so I use the term GATA. What is GATA? That is the Grant Accountability and Transparency Act. And this started out as all of the state agencies were using different different guidelines or had different requirements for grants, and this this initiative started to remove redundancies and to help streamline the grant process and make sure everyone is following the same rules, and they're hopefully causing less frustration and confusion for grantees, helping to remove um, the duplicative processes, increase accountability and transparency. Um, this is what the state decided that they were going to use, and these Illinois state requirements follow the federal guidance known as 2 CFR 200. So this is the Uniform Administrative Requirements, Cost Principles, and Audit Requirements for Federal Awards. So this is something that you can look online. It's, just Google 2 CFR 200 and it'll pop up right away. These are the federal guidelines that the state follows. Not all states follow this, but we follow this. And any updates to 2 CFR 200, we update as well. Okay, so the GATA Grantee Portal. This is where you will be making sure that your information is up to date. You will be submitting some documents. You'll be submitting some surveys and assessments. You will be receiving notices. This is kind of a one-stop shop for all things GATA related. So if you are unfamiliar with it, I would recommend checking it out at grants.illinois.gov/portal. And you will need to create a new account if your entity, if your organization is brand new to state funding. If your entity is not new to state funding, it is definitely still a good idea to make sure that you are getting in the portal, making sure that things are up to date, making sure that you are in good standing before applying for a grant, because you do have to make sure that all of your ducks are in a row in the portal before applying to any grant. So that's just a screenshot of what it looks like and how you sign in or how you create an account. Okay. One document I definitely recommend you take a look at is the GATA New User Guide. It provides step-by-steps of getting registered in the GATA portal, and it also kind of answers some frequently asked questions about the GATA portal. I still use it sometimes when I have something particular I need to look at. So make sure you check out that GATA portal. And then when it comes to the Governor's Office of Management and Budget, they have their own GATA unit there. So we call it GATA, Grant Accountability and Transparency Unit. So these are the state GATA folks, and they have their own set of resources at gata.illinois.gov. I recommend checking that out as well, especially if you have a specific grant topic that you would like to know more about. Okay, Pre-qualification, you have probably heard that term before when it comes to NOFOs and applying for grants. So pre-qualification is a set of requirements for all organizations, all entities seeking to receive grant funding. So entities seeking to do business with the state of Illinois must meet all of these requirements to be deemed qualified, pre-qualified, and in good standing. So pre-qualification demonstrates that an organization has met all the legal requirements and has obtained all of the necessary registrations. Pre-qualification must first be obtained by an organization, but the status then must be maintained for the entire lifespan of the grant program, or if your organization wishes to continue to apply for and receive grant funds. So it is, for the most part, these registrations and these good standings auto-populate in the GATA portal, but it is important from time to time to check the GATA portal. If you are one of the users in your entity's portal page, you will be receiving emails if there's any notable notifications. So you must be in pre-qualified status by the application review date by the state awarding agency. So when you do apply for this grant or any other grant, they are going to be looking at your pre-qualification status. Okay, so this is how the pre-qualification status looks to you in the GATA Grantee portal. So you scroll down and you'll see pre-qualification status. And let's see, the items in red mean that there's action required by the entity, by you, and it needs to be addressed. So usually it means that you are not in good standing, or your status with that list or that entity is not connected in the GATA portal. So this is something that does need to be addressed. So as you can see here, this person's sam.gov account is not found or not connected to GATA, so they need to click on the help button and help remedy that. You have to make sure that your sam.gov account is active, so it might say not active. So yeah, if it is in red, that means that it needs to be addressed. If it is in yellow, that usually means that it is pending, so something is being evaluated by a state agency. You might have submitted something and it might take a day or two for it to be approved and updated. So yellow is just kind of look out, it will be coming soon. So yeah, you just want to make sure that before you apply for a grant that there are no errors in this list, and that you are working towards making sure all of the statuses in here are good. All right, so I'm going to go through requirement by requirement of this pre-qualification in case you are brand new to this, or if you might need a bit of a refresher. So the first requirement is a sam.gov account. So this is the system of award management. So this is the federal site at sam.gov, and an entity must be registered in sam.gov, and it must be validated annually. So we always recommend that entities leave their sam.gov account set to public. If it is set to public, then the state GATA system will automatically update with the federal system's information. If you set your registration to private, you will need to manually update your registration every year with the Governor's Office of Management and Budget. So it's just easier for them to sync if you leave your registration public. UEI number, you're probably familiar with that. That is the unique entity identifier that is given to your entity by sam.gov, and you will need this number if you're registering in the state GATA grantee portal. So make sure you have that, make sure it matches in the GATA portal. That's how the two systems talk to each other. And yeah, make sure your registration is set to public. In the Office of Accountability, we often see folks receive their UEI number in sam.gov, and then they think that's it and they stop. But there are a couple more steps to completing the registration in sam.gov. So make sure that you follow all the steps and don't just stop when they tell you the UEI number. Okay, your FEIN number, probably all familiar with this. The Federal Employer Identification Number, known as FEIN. This is used to identify a business entity. The IRS provides FEIN numbers free of charge. That can be submitted online, by fax, by US mail. So just make sure that you have your FEIN number and that it is correct in the GATA grantee portal. The status of your FEIN number, if your FEIN number is locked for any reason, it will automatically update in the GATA portal. So just make sure you are fine with that. Federal excluded parties list, we don't see this very often, but if there is some reason why you cannot receive federal funding, federal financial assistance because of a suspension or debarment, that is going to be automatically updated in the GATA grantee portal, and it will disqualify you. Okay. Illinois Secretary of State, you have to be registered at the Illinois Secretary of State, and you do need a certificate of good standing from that office. You may register at ilsos.gov. So just make sure that you are in good standing with them, you have the certificate, and it is up to date. Okay, the Illinois Stop Payment List. This means that an entity, an organization has fallen out of compliance at some point with a previous grant. That's usually what we see, and you are no longer in pre-qualified status if you are on the Stop Payment List. Once you get on that list, you cannot receive any federal funding until you are taken off of the list. Almost always this is something that can be reversed. So it's usually the submission of a missing item, such as a grant report or an audit. So if you are on the stop payment list, make sure to contact your former grant manager of a past grant, or you can contact your cognizant agency, which you can see who your cognizant agency is in the GATA grantee portal. If it is DCEO, you are welcome to contact us at ceo.granthelp@illinois.gov. You can also contact us as well if we're not your cognizant agency. We'll make sure you get to the right place. But it's usually something that can be remedied, so you want to make sure that gets remedied before application submission. Okay, and then the Illinois Department of Healthcare and Family Services, they have a sanction list. You have to make sure that you are not on this list because you will not be in pre-qualified status. Organizations that are put on this list are not eligible for Medicaid reimbursement. So it is something that you will need to make sure that everything is okay. Your ducks are in a row with this one. It's usually something pretty serious on there. If you violation of an administrative rule, civil law, or criminal offense, that is why you would be put on this list. So don't see that very often either. Okay. Other GATA grantee portal tips. These are just things that I've seen, that the Office of Accountability has seen. We quite often get these issues, so I just want to make sure that you are aware of these items. Make sure that your contact list in the GATA grantee portal is up to date and current. So make sure that all of the staff contacts that you have on there, that everyone is still there if you need to add someone, if things have changed, make sure that you're doing that. We also always recommend that you have more than one person with portal access in the GATA grantee portal, just in case something happens or staff changes. You want to make sure you have at least a backup person that can get into the portal. Also, make sure that your organization's fiscal year end date is accurate in the portal. This will come into play later on when it comes to audits. You want to make sure that it is set to what your organization's fiscal end date is, because that will determine when an audit needs to start. Okay. So moving on to the NOFO, I'm sure that you all are familiar with this NOFO in particular. Just going over kind of what the outline of a NOFO is. It will list all the important details of a program, and it will list all of the details of how to apply for the grant and what is needed to be able to apply for the grant. So you've got the program description, funding information, eligibility information, application and submission information, application review information, award administration information. So this is, kind of once you get the grant, what to expect. It'll go over the agency contacts and any other information. So this really lays it out for you, what is needed for the application itself. So be sure you are aware of this document, and you are looking at this document thoroughly as you are getting ready to apply for this grant. If you are interested in other notice of funding opportunities, that can be found in the CSFA, and that stands for the Catalog of State Financial Assistance, and you can find that catalog in the GATA grantee portal if you're interested in any other grants. Okay, moving on to one of the assessments that you will need to do on an annual basis in the GATA grantee portal. This is called the Fiscal Administrative Internal Controls Questionnaire, or we call it the ICQ. This is completed annually in the portal, and the results of your questionnaire may result in specific conditions for your grant. It just helps to mitigate risk and helps to build grantee capacity. Just know that this is not punitive and will not go either way of if you are going to receive a grant or not. It just makes sure that the state agency is aware of your management practices, your financial and programmatic reporting. Make sure that you have conducted audits in the past, that kind of thing. So that will need to be filled out. Okay, so let's say that you have filled out all of, or you've completed all of your pre-award requirements, you've got that pre-qualification in there, you've applied for your grant, you've gone through the review, and you have been it has been announced that you've been awarded this grant. So you will work with an assigned grant manager to make sure that you are submitting all of the documents needed, and they will get the grant agreement together for execution. So now we are in post-award requirements. So you will be working with your grant manager to submit periodic financial reports and periodic performance reports. And just know that those are those will be due to your grant manager on a regular basis. It depends on the grant, how often those are submitted, but you will be keeping in touch with your grant manager and letting them know how your program or project is going. All right. So you also just need to keep in mind that part of the monitoring is that you will need to submit an audit. The type of audit really depends on your organization, but just keep in mind that you will be required to submit those documents, and there could possibly be a cost associated with the audit, and that would be at the grantee's responsibility for those expenses. I apologize, it sounds like the emergency alarms are going off. I guess on Tuesdays it does that here. All right. So this is a chart that just goes over the different types of audits and the determinants. So it will show you what audit you need for your specific entity and how much money you had received from federal awards or state awards that year. Luckily for us, it is you will fill out a short survey in the GATA grantee portal, and it will tell you what audit you need to submit if you do need to submit an audit. So this is just kind of letting you know that an audit will be coming if you are awarded a grant and you have state expenditures, and your grant manager will help you through that later on. Okay, so resources. I definitely recommend that you check out our DCEO grant opportunities page. This is where you will find all sorts of resources, one-pagers, manuals, other items related to grants. We also have short video tutorials on several grant topics, such as pre-qualification or the uniform budget, what audits look like, that sort of thing. So I recommend checking out that website for those resources. And questions for the grant help desk in the Office of Accountability can be sent to ceo.granthelp@illinois.gov. We have a team of folks that man this help desk and can answer all sorts of questions on all things grants, really, but especially those GATA related requirements such as pre-qualification, how to submit the grant, that sort of thing. So we are here to help as you are working on your grant applications and throughout the grant life cycle. So feel free to contact us. And let's see, I'm going to stop sharing. Let's see, do we have any questions in the chat?
Amber, I do not have any questions on my end in the chat.
Okay. It looks like Christine has put in some links in the chat that we have talked about in these slides. So make sure you check out these links, and it's got my email address in there as well. So.
Amber, thank you so much for this presentation. We appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to spend time with us today for this presentation. We do want to get feedback from the group, so we are going to put a survey link in the chat. If you all could please it'll just take you 3 minutes to complete the survey to give us some feedback so that we can continue to improve on the quality of our presentations for this NOFO. And it does look like there's a question here. Are there agencies doing technical assistance or helping with the application process?
So yeah, if you'd like to contact ceo.granthelp@illinois.gov, and the program contact in the notice of funding opportunity, you can contact them as well. As far as assistance with the grant application, you know, as a state agency, as the ones reviewing it, we can't offer real in-depth application help. But if there's something that you have a question about, or if something isn't working in the GATA portal or something like that, we can certainly help you with that.
Great, thank you. Are there any other questions? Okay, again, just a reminder that the survey link is in the chat. Please click on that. It is a 3-minute survey. Your feedback is really important to us. It gives us the opportunity to hear from you and to make adjustments to our programming so that we can best serve you. Amber, thank you so much for your time this morning. And I'm going to turn this over to Christine, and she will talk a little bit about the upcoming sessions for this NOFO. Christine?
Yeah, thank you, Gia. Good morning, everyone. Again, like Gia said, please go ahead, give us that feedback. It does really help us kind of shape these technical assistance sessions. We do have 3 more sessions coming up. So the next one is this upcoming Thursday, and that session is our bidders conference. It's starting at 9:30 a.m. on Thursday, August 3rd. And that session really walks through step by step what is in the notice of funding, what are the program requirements that the merit reviewers will be looking at, what is the scoring mechanism that they will be utilizing to determine your score on your notice of funding application. So that is one that I would highly, highly recommend. If you can make it, please attend. We really do get in depth on what is required. The next one is actually the following week, August 10th, and that is where we're going to delve into our payment model. So Illinois Works is one of the first programs at DCEO that launched into a performance-based payment model. So we will be reviewing that model, what it looks like, what are the criteria for that. And then we will end our series that next week with our partnership, developing partnership session. So I'm going to go ahead now and just put the link in the chat to our notice of funding page that has all of the different sessions and registration links there for you. I'm also just going to go ahead and share my screen really quickly so you can see this is what you will see when you click on that link. And then down here at the bottom, there's a bunch of great information in here, but all of our information sessions are listed. So our bidders conference that's coming up this week, the payment model is the next week, and then the final week on the 15th, we have developing partnerships. You can go ahead and register for any of those sessions right here. But you will notice that after we host one of these sessions, we also do post the recording. So you can see our very first session, which took place on July 25th. that recording is already there. So if there's anything said during these sessions you want to go back, refer to, that will be made available to you all there. Also, we really hope that you all can join us for the upcoming sessions, and we look forward to seeing all of your applications and what great programs you're planning to develop. So thank you all so much. Thank you to Amber, and thank you to Gia for facilitating today.
Thanks, everyone.